So you're not getting a bargain with the new launch, you're paying for the new launch premium lah. So for the brand, your brand name, the warranty, the fresh lease, the specific Thomson location, these are the legitimate premiums, but you should go in knowing exactly what you are paying for.
From the launch in 2018, they were trading about 1,006 per square foot on average, and now it's 2,004. It's like 800 PSF increment. Prices are still hitting a new high, as you can see, which is great if you're already holding on to Jadescape, but if you're buying now, you're generally not getting the first mover advantage. Developers in Singapore right now, they're making an average of about 1,700 PSF above their land cost when they launch a new project in today's context. Yeah,
it's not just any estimation lah. So that's actually based on the actual recent launches. For example, at Sky Holland, we also had Zion Grand recently, and also River Modern. So actually what we saw is that this pattern is pretty consistent lah. If you take a look at all the PSF estimations, the eventual selling PSF.
Yeah, so for Thomson Reserve's land cost is 1178 PSF per plot ratio. So if you do the math, that works out to be probably estimated about 2,700 to 3,000 per square foot when they launch. Today, Ollie and I are not here to tell you don't buy Thomson Reserve. That's generally not the point of the video. We are here because before you register for the preview, before you commit to anything, there are 3 developments in this exact corridor that we think deserve serious look first. And some of the comparisons actually surprised us when we sat down with the numbers.
And because on the surface, when you look at the PSF, right, Thomson Reserve looks quite expensive. Right? When you see the full picture, the GFA harmonization story, and the actual quantum, so what you're really getting per dollar gets a bit more nuanced lah.
Yeah, which is exactly why we want to do this video. Most people are either fully hyped about Thomson Reserve or they've already written it off entirely, and neither of those is really the right way to look at it. Let's get into it. Yep. For some quick context, just so we are on the same page. So Thomson Reserve is coming up at Bright Hill Drive. So right next to Upper Thomson MRT, and it's developed by UOL, Singland as well as CapitaLand. The same consortium behind, Sky at Holland, even like Parktown Residence, Upper House, so on and so forth. So the developer pedigree is genuinely strong.
And the location, just to orient it, I think some people really maybe don't notice the full, how good this location is, the full picture. So you're actually right next to Upper Thomson MRT, and Thomson Plaza is just literally across the road. Aitong is also within 1 km radius itself. And it has everything. Even the nature, Bishan Ang Mo Kio Park is very nearby. We got the Macritchie Reserve also within very close vicinity. So this location really has all the ingredients for a very nice project.
Yeah, I think eateries, everything, you name it, everything is there. Actually, we have a lot of supporters for this area as well. So just some prelim project facts. I think, we're expecting a mega development that is approximately about 1,240 units. So you can expect full-fledged facilities and lower maintenance fee per unit. Probably enough futures transaction volume to establish that solid price benchmarks, which we have seen in the recent mega launches. So from a fundamental standpoint, there's a real case here. Targeted to preview in October, so we have a few more months to go.
So the question is just, at an estimated of 2,700 to 3,000 per square foot, are you paying the right price for what you're getting? Or, is there anything along the stretch that could actually give you decent value as well?
So one more thing worth flagging out before we dive in, there's something that catches people off guard. For Thomson Reserve, it's a new launch, which means that even if you have the budget, you still have to go through balloting. And nowadays, having the money doesn't exactly mean you can buy. So the queue is real. And also, we understand that popular stacks, like for example at Vela Bay, the sea-facing ones, they get sold out really fast.
Yeah. So I think the timing here is that people really need to think through carefully, because this is an en bloc project. So the structure needs to be torn down and rebuilt. So this is going to take a bit longer time than usual GOS projects. So I'll say the TOP is estimated to be around 2030 to 2031 plus minus, still subject to final confirmation by the developer. And if you want to buy Thomson Reserve without incurring ABSD, you would have already needed to sell your current property before having the funds to commit. You cannot just go into the show flat, not having sold your HDB or private property, and decide whether you want to buy it then or not.
Yeah, I think some people have the mindset, I'll take a look at when the show flat launches, I'll go and take a look first, then later I decide whether I want or not. But this one, unfortunately, in today's context and scenario, is more of like
you lose.
Yeah, you snooze, you lose.
Yeah.
So by the time you wait and you think that, you're ready and, you really like it and you decide to put your unit for sale, it's really too late because the unit will be snapped up by then. So that's a totally very different decision-making process compared to resale. With resale, you can view the actual unit, you can take your time, you can negotiate for a completion timeline that works for your situation for both the seller and the buyer. So that flexibility is real, and I mean it has real value, and it's one of the things that we'll keep coming back to for today's topic lah.
So with all that said, let's go through our 3 developments. So before we get into the individual projects, we have to address GFA harmonization, right? So because if we keep throwing out numbers without explaining this, then we might come to the wrong conclusion.
Yeah, so for a quick version, we've done a full video, in fact 2 videos on this. So do check them out if you want to understand a bit more. But here's what you need to know for today. Before GFA harmonization, developers include things like your void areas and your AC ledgers in the stated unit size on the floor plan. So for example, a unit that's being marketed at, let's say, 1,000 square feet, they might include, aircon ledgers, even some have the void area, where high ceiling and things like that, they put it into your floor plan. So that accounts to probably about 6 to 7% of the total floor area. So your actual livable space could be significantly less than what is stated on the brochure.
Yeah, so I'll say, post-harmonization is what Thomson Reserve falls under. So the aircon ledge is excluded from the whole strata area. So the stated size is on paper smaller, but there's a bigger proportion of usable space and genuine usable space. So for example, this floor plan is a compact 3-bedder at Sky Holland, which is harmonized. So this 915 square feet layout actually excludes the aircon ledges. So this is essentially closer to the 1,000 square feet if it were under the pre-harmonization.
Correct. So it doesn't have unnecessarily much wasted space, which later we'll show you could be found in some of the resale developments. So the key adjustment we are making today is for pre-harmonized projects, which are the existing older developments. We strip out the AC ledge, which we mentioned probably about 6 to 7%, to get a more apple-to-apple comparison with Thomson Reserve. So that adjustment alone closes the meaningful chunk of the gap that looks so dramatic when you look just at PSF side by side.
So once you understand this, a lot of the Thomson Reserve looks very expensive. Narrative starts to look a bit less clear-cut.
So before we get into the 3 developments, I want to quickly explain why we are using 3-bedroom as our benchmark throughout this entire video, because it's not arbitrary.
So let's put past 1-year transaction data on the screen for projects like Thomson Three as well as Jadescape. And what you'll notice immediately is that the 3-bedders are actually commanding the highest average per square foot and the highest peak PSF, and not just the smaller unit types. And also compared with the 4 bedrooms especially. So Thomson Three only had 1 4-bedder transaction in the past 1 year. So hence.
So you can see the lowest to the highest is the same. Yeah, but if you look at for example, the average and highest PSF for Jadescape, the 3-bedroom average is about 2.5 for the past year, and highest is 2.6, compared to, let's say, the 1 and 2 bedrooms where the average is only 2,000 and 2.2. And then for the 4-bedroom is slightly below 2.5. And then even their highest is only 2.1, 2.4, and also 2.6, which is similar to the 3-bedroom for the 4-bedroom. So we use 3-bedroom. I think it's more compelling to compare.
So it makes sense if you think about it, because the 3 bedrooms actually hit the sweet spot. Yeah, they're actually the target unit type for HDB upgraders, young families, or investors who want that flexibility between own stay and investment. That demand actually pushes the demand overall, and of course the selling prices and PSF eventually.
Especially in this area where there are a lot of good schools as well. Yeah. So because Thomson Reserve is also going to be heavily weighted towards the upgrader and family demographic, I would say. So the 3-bedroom comparison is also the most relevant and most direct way to benchmark. So for AMO Residence, which is the 3rd development we'll use in our comparison, the data picture is similar in trend, but there are lesser transaction volume to work with, because most of the units, or I would say all, are still in the sub-sale market.
Still peak.
Yeah, correct. So the pattern holds, but we're just using these 2 to show you why.
So throughout this video, every time we talk about quantum and PSF, we will use the 3-bedroom for comparison. So
first development, Thomson Three, I think the name says it all, literally in Thomson. Just right beside Thomson Reserve actually. Very close proximity to Upper Thomson MRT. And also within the same 1 kilometer radius, we have School. So you are generally having the same location.
So the recent three-bedder transactions over the past year, they are coming in at around 2.2 million to 2.6 million. So the quantum range already overlaps with the lower end of where Thomson Reserve is estimated to launch. So for Thomson Reserve, right, we're assuming 2,700 to maybe even up to 3,000 per square foot. And if we take like a 915 square feet unit, for example, right, we could be looking at a quantum probably like high 2.5 million, 2.6 million as a starting basis for the three bedders.
That will probably be the average. Maybe starting from could be slightly lower, 2.3, 2.4 million.
Yeah, potentially.
Probably you will touch the 3 mil mark as well on a higher side. So later we will compare the 3 bedrooms of the resale developments with that of the expected price range of Thomson Reserve, which we think will likely be around this range.
The recent three-bedder transactions over the past year, they are coming in at around 2.2 to 2.6 million for Thomson Three. So this quantum range already overlaps with the lower end of where Thomson Reserve is estimated to launch. Okay, so now let's look at the layouts properly. So Thomson Three has two main three-bedroom types. So they have the 1033 square feet three-bedder, and then we have the three-bedroom premium at 1141 square feet. So both are pre-harmonized. So both figures actually they have that balcony and the aircon latch included within the floor area. So, this linear layout, quite functional, but has a long balcony that spans across the master, the second bedroom, as well as the living room. So, some may complain it's taking up too much space.
Yep.
Yeah. It has an enclosed kitchen. Okay, but it does have an enclosed kitchen with a window. So, all three bedrooms can comfortably fit queen-size beds at least. So, the larger one, it has a dual balcony configuration with a utility room. So, but if we eventually strip out the aircon latch at around 6 to 7% of the stated size and the extra long balcony spaces, say another 3%, a total of 10% shaved off to the comparable area, which comes down to around 930 to maybe even like 1,020 square feet eventually, or respectively. So this will be likely similar to Thomson Reserve estimated post-harmonized three-bedder, and then the gap will eventually narrow. So, and on a quantum basis, 2.2 to 2.6 million for Thomson Three versus an estimated 2.4 to 3 million for Thomson Reserve. That is a genuine overlap at the lower end of the range.
So actually you are getting similar price points, but for a project that is way older. So that's something to really think about. Okay, so for Thomson Three, I think the lease started in 2012, TOP in 2017. So it's coming to almost 10 years now versus Thomson Reserve, which you'll definitely get brand new.
So that age gap matters in a couple of practical ways, right? So in terms of rental yield, the rental yield story at Thomson Three is pretty good, right? And it's available since day one. But eventually a 10-year-old unit there will need some renovation, right?
For sure.
So before you can actually maximize the full rental returns, so that is a cost that doesn't actually show up in the purchase price. Yeah, so you need to factor that in your actual numbers before you compare between that and Thomson Reserve.
Yes, agree. So second consideration, I would think in terms of the longer term. So when Thomson Reserve enters the resale market, probably in 4 to 5 years later, buyers in this corridor will be comparing this brand new post-harmonized project again. By then, 15-year-old Thomson Three development, which is pre-harmonized. So there's a genuine competitive risk at that point of time when if you decide to buy Thomson Three now, or you decide to exit later when Thomson Reserve attains TOP .
So Thomson Three will make the most sense for the owner occupier who just they just want to stay in this neighborhood for the long term. They want iTone within 1 km. Okay, and they are not planning to sell say in the next 5 to 7 years Or this will also appeal to the investor who just wants immediate rental and already probably factor renovation cost if the unit is not ideal in terms of the condition.
So really same location, school factor, just older version or at a slightly lower entry price.
So the second development we'll talk about, is a very popular project, right? So it's a Jadescape that is at Marymount MRT, the same corridor. So Jadescape is a very interesting comparison because it's genuinely newer. It TOP in 2023. And it's a very large project, large scale as well. So there's around 1,206 units, which is actually the same as Thomson Reserve also. Right? Full-fledged facilities, in very good condition. And the resale track record in this project is genuinely impressive.
So if you look at the numbers for the past year, the three-bedroom transactions are averaging about 2.5 million, 2.9 mil.
So I'll say at the mid to top end, Jadescape is already trading at a similar quantum to where Thomson Reserve is expected to launch.
Oh, and profitability-wise, this is what I'm calling out for. For example, some of the owners here actually made more than 1 million in terms of the profit for a three-bedroom. The annualized returns, we are getting about 6% on average. Some are even way higher at 12%, close to 13% even. So that's a genuinely strong track record.
So this actually matters a lot, right? So those returns actually went to people who bought during launch. Yeah. So if you're buying Jadescape in the resale market today, you are entering at the prices those first movers are now exiting it. And the question isn't whether Jadescape was a good investment, because clearly it was. But the question is how much runway is left before the price will eventually stabilize.
Yeah, correct. Because from the launch in 2018, they were trading about 1,006 per square foot on average, and now it's 2,004. It's like 800 PSF increment. Prices are still hitting a new high, as you can see, which is great if you're already holding on to Jadescape. But if you're buying now, you're generally not getting the first mover advantage for this development. You're paying the price that those early buyers are collecting as profits.
So now let's look at the layouts, because this is where the GFA harmonization really kicks in.
So for Jadescape, it has two main 3-bedroom types. One is the 904 square feet layout, and the other one is the more premium 1055 square feet deluxe layout. Yeah, so for the 904 square feet, you have a single balcony. For the 3-bedroom deluxe, you have 2 balconies. You have the foyer entrance and also more generous in terms of the overall space. You have a storeroom as well.
Yeah, so Jadescape is pre-harmonized. So for fair comparison with Thomson Reserve, we need to adjust a little bit. So the C2B type actually has 2 balconies. So, but most units now realistically only have 1 balcony, especially with harmonization. So if we strip out the 1 balcony plus the aircon ledge at around 6 to 7%, we are at roughly 950 to 960 square feet of comparable usable space.
So for Thomson Reserve, the post-harmonized 3-bedroom, we are using Sky at Holland as our reference here, since we don't actually have the Thomson Reserve floor plans yet. And also this is the same developer, so we will just use their latest, one of their latest launches to gauge. So it comes at 915 square feet for the Sky at Holland's layout, compact 3-bedroom, and also just 1 balcony. Definitely more efficient in terms of the space, and minus the aircon ledge, which is not included in the floor area. Take note that this compact 3-bedroom layout does not have a storeroom, but it does have some usable space along the foyer, which you can potentially use for storage.
So for Sky, we can say it has comparable space, somewhere in between the 2 Jadescape layouts.
Yeah, if they were harmonized, probably 915 is between 840 and 950 square feet.
Yeah. And on a quantum basis, Jadescape now is just averaging around 2.5 million.
Yeah, just now, which we already flashed on the screen. So I guess for Thomson Reserve, the smaller 3-bedroom, we can estimate starting from maybe 2.3, 2.4x million. So at a certain price point, they're essentially neck to neck with Jadescape. And of course, it really depends on your balloting queue number again, if you can snag those lower quantum units. But at the end of the day, even if you say you manage to get a unit that's a much higher quantum, let's say because of the more premium facing, or your queue number or the higher floors, for example, you may still be priced at a similar range as what has been transacted already in Jadescape.
Yeah, which is not too bad. Resale pricing, right?
Yeah,
for something brand new. Yeah, so of course, to summarize about Jadescape, right? So you can actually buy the unit today. You can see the actual unit. You can negotiate whatever timeline will suit your preference. Yeah, but for Thomson Reserve, of course, you have to commit first, wait 4 to 5 years for the project to complete. And then, of course, for balloting, you need to hope that you get a good ballot number and also get the unit choice that you are so desire for.
I guess both are valid depending on your situation, but they're genuinely different decisions with different risk profiles. And at a similar quantum, Jadescape deserves a serious look before it gets swept up in the new launch energy. Because a lot of people, when they go and see Jadescape, they're also wowed by the facilities and in terms of the design and everything. Yeah.
Definitely.
So the third and last project, honestly, this is one I find the most compelling for a specific reason. So AMO Residence, it's at Mayflower MRT, around 2 stops from the Upper Thomson MRT where Thomson Reserve will be, in District 20, and also the same TEL line, Thomson East Coast line, as mentioned.
Yeah, so this project also sold out more than 90% on the first day during launch. And
98%.
You have this habit of selling very sell-out launches.
Yeah, correct.
So same developer, UOL. So if you think about what this means, right, you're not choosing between a budget option and a premium developer, right? This is a very established developer that knows exactly what they're doing, and we don't expect any different for Thomson Reserve.
So one is already established in the sub-sale market and one is about to launch. So definitely you're getting the same kind of quality and same brand standards. So for the past year, for the 3-bedroom transactions, they're averaging about 2.6 million, and on the higher end, even crossed 3 million already. Now, importantly, I think, for AMO, this is pre-harmonized. So if you compare it fairly with Thomson Reserve, I think you can add in about that 6 to 7% difference. So if we add that in, let's say, if it's harmonized, it will average probably around in the 2.7 per square foot range. And on the higher range, it has already crossed 2008 per BSF lah.
Yeah, which means that at the mid to top end of the recent AMO Residence transactions, buyers are actually paying similar per square foot to what Thomson Reserve is expecting to launch at.
Yeah, and Thomson Reserve, I would say, is 2 stops away. Is still more closer to Central compared to AMO. And that surprised me when we worked through it lah. So let's look at the floor plan. Yeah. So for the AMO 3-bedroom, the Type C one, you're getting a 958 square feet layout. Just a single balcony. I guess along the years, the developer also trying to minimize all the balcony spaces and things like that. A master bedroom, with ensuite, and also a semi-enclosed kitchen. Okay, you can fully enclose it as well. Okay, very functional layout. Probably even similar to Sky at Holland, I would say. Yeah. So if you strip out the AC latch, if it were to be harmonized, that works out to be probably around 890 to 900 square feet, which is again comparable to the Sky at Holland's compact 3-bedroom at 915 square feet. Probably likely going to get similar for Thomson Reserve again.
And on a quantum basis, AMO Residence averaging 2.6 million for the 3-bedroom. Thomson Reserve's smaller 3-bedder, as mentioned just now, perhaps starting from 2.3, 2.4 million. Okay, at these certain price points, right, you could actually be paying more for AMO Resale than what you'd be paying for Thomson Reserve as a new launch.
Yeah, so I think even on a higher tier, it's already crossed 3 million. So if you're getting 2.7, 2.8 million, it's still below the traded price points for AMO 3-bedroom. Okay, so now we look at the location trade-off. I think, just now we mentioned AMO is at Mayflower MRT, also not the same as Thomson Reserve at Upper Thomson MRT. Thomson Reserve gives you the Thomson Plaza walkability, all the eateries along that stretch, and also Aitong within 1 km. So those are real differences, I would say.
Okay, so of course, AMO is not without its own selling points. Thomson Reserve has Aitong, AMO Residence has CHRJ St. Nick's, within 1 km. Yeah, but of course, for families with daughters, this is a very compelling draw, which buyers shouldn't overlook.
Yeah, correct. So at the end of the day, I think AMO is the comparison where we think that numbers really make you think, like same developer, similar usable space, quantum that's actually in the same range as well, or could be even slightly above Thomson Reserve, I would say, at certain price points. But you get this immediately, and you have the own school draw factor as well.
Yeah, and the premium you're paying for Thomson Reserve over AMO is really the premium for that specific so-called superior Thomson location, and it being also a brand new product. So whether that's worth it or that's important to you, that's really dependent on yourself.
Yeah, depends on individual buyers, I would say. Yeah.
Okay, so we've gone through all three resale developments, Thomson Three, Jadescape, and AMO. So what is the concluding takeaway, right?
Honestly, I think that Thomson Reserve is a good project. Of course, strong developers, great location, post-harmonized layouts, fresh lease. The Thomson lifestyle is real and there's genuine demand for it. But here's what this exercise shows you. The newer resale options, let's say Jadescape and even AMO, already trading at quantum that's similar to, or in the case of AMO, at the higher end, 3 over million, above where Thomson Reserve is likely expected to come in. Even for Thomson Three, which is almost 10 years old, it overlaps at the lower end on what we predict will be the launch price for Thomson Reserve.
Yeah, so you're not getting a bargain with the new launch, you're paying for the new launch premium. So for the brand, your brand name, the warranty, the fresh lease, the specific Thomson location, these are the legitimate premiums, but you should go in knowing exactly what you are paying for.
Agree. And there are practical realities that don't show any price comparison. For example, like we mentioned, your ballot luck.
Yeah.
Okay, right now having money doesn't mean you can buy. You still need to queue. And popular stacks do disappear fast. Timing as well. Okay, this one is really important. So if you want to buy Thomson Reserve without incurring ABSD, you need to have already sold your property by then and have your funds ready before you walk into the show flat. Like for example, recently, for Tengah, they ask you to prove your funds and things like that.
Yes.
Yeah. So you cannot view first and then decide later, because by the time you want to decide to sell, okay, the units are definitely not going to wait for you.
So, whereas resale, you view, you decide, okay, and then you do your own negotiation. Yeah, the sequence is manageable based on yourself and your agent as well. Okay, so there's a difference in how you need to plan the timeline and the finances.
So for Thomson Three specifically, you have to factor in the renovation as well. It's almost 10 years old, and by the time Thomson Reserve TOPs, the age is probably almost 20 years if we count from the loan tenure. The yield story is real, but also there's renovation costs involved. So do your own calculations. Who then should buy Thomson Reserve? I think this is your target neighborhood if the school zone matters and you are planning to stay for the long term. And critically, you've already sorted your finance sequencing and you can commit clearly the ABSD exposure.
So eventually, I would say for these reasons, Thomson Reserve will make a lot of sense.
So if you're more investment focused and you need the numbers to work from day one, resale sometimes may serve you better at these price levels, and you get immediate rental income, no wait time, no uncertainty from balloting, and also more flexibility.
Yeah, so what, if you're somewhere in between, right? Yeah, so this is exactly the conversation you should be having with someone who can run the actual numbers for you and your specific situation. You know what you're currently holding, what your timeline looks like, what your financial sequencing actually works for a new launch commitment right now.
So the mistake most buyers make is comparing PSF without adjusting for GFA harmonization, or comparing the quantum without understanding the usable space, or getting swept up in the new launch excitement without stepping back to look at what is already in the market and what the current market generally has to offer right now at similar price points.
Yeah, so which is the kind of the point of this whole video lah.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're not saying don't buy Thomson Reserve. We are saying you need to know what you're choosing between before deciding.
And if you want help working through your specific situation, DM either of us. We're happy to run through it with you sequentially and take with care lah.
So thanks for watching once again. See you in our next video.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.